Hey everybody, I'm sorry for the noise in the background, but the fire alarm, they're working on it, and so it's going off, even though there's nothing going on. It's just annoying. So anyway, today is Wednesday, and we're reviewing for the test that's on Friday over exponents. So try to do these on your own using the reference sheet. Remember, it is under resources. So under my week of, next to your assignments, you should see a resource button, and you can click on that and see this sheet, algebra reference materials, and we're doing these exponent rules, right? And here are the rules over here. This tells you when to add the exponents, when to subtract them, when to multiply them, how to change from a fractional exponent, which is your rational exponent, to a radical, right? And then how to get rid of negative exponents by moving it across the fraction line. So that is what we are doing. So I want you to go do number one and see what you come up with. Remember, you can stop this video and then come back and look at the answers and see how you did. If it's multiple choice, I would probably just do the coefficients only to start with and get rid of some of the answers. Now, notice we're simplifying. If you're simplifying, are you going to have parentheses left with the power rule out here? No, get rid of that answer. You're not going to have that, okay? So if you see any answers when you're simplifying that have parentheses left in them, get rid of them because you're going to be doing that power rule. You're not going to have parentheses left. Okay, so this, look between the parentheses, there's nothing there. So this is a multiplication problem. Now, even though there's parentheses, there's no exponent outside the parentheses. There's no exponent outside this parentheses, so it's not the power rule. This is simply a multiplication property. So we're going to multiply the big coefficients first. So 5 times, and there is a 1 in front of this one if you want to do that. So 5 times 1 is 5. So my answer is going to start off with the whole number 5. This is 1 over 5. I don't have 1/5. I have the whole number 5. Here's a 5, and there's a 5. So I know it's not A. So unless all of my exponents cancel out, it's not going to be C, but let's go see what happens. Now, we could just do the B's, we could just do the N's, or we could just do the V's. Your choice on which one you want to do. Since I've got B's at the beginning, I'm just going to do B to the 4th times B squared. Since the bases are the same, B's and B's, they go together, so add 4 plus 2, and you get B to the 6th. So this is going to start off with 5B to the 6th. So is it indeed C? No. Which one is it? This one. And if you add your n's, n squared times n to the 6, you add the 2 plus 6, you get 8. V times B3, add 1 plus 3, and you get 4. So that does work. Okay, number 2, use your power rule, go simplify it. I can't talk. Pause the video, go do it, and then come back and see what you got. Now, since it's multiple choice, I would just do the coefficient first. So I'm going to ignore the g squared, and this is just 2 inside parentheses, that great big 2 here, parentheses around it, raised to the 3rd power. If you put in 2 to the 3rd power in the calculator, it tells you it is 8. So my answer has a big old 8 in it. This is 1/8, not 8. That one says 8, this one says 2, so what's the only answer that works? C. Do I even need to multiply 3 times 2 and get 6? You don't have to, but there it is. Okay, this is a big old problem here. So again, just do the coefficients. If you look at your answers, you have 864, 864, 36, and 36. So you're going to get rid of 2 of the answers just doing the coefficients. So go do that. See what you get. Pause the video. Okay, if you come back, this was a multiplication on top, but you have powers outside of this one, and you had division, of course, on the bottom. So again, if you're just doing the coefficients, I'm just going to pull out the 54 from the front. So here I'm going to write it over here. I have a 54, and it's inside parentheses, but there is no exponent outside of it. And over here inside this parentheses, the only coefficient is the 24. The big number is the 24. But I do have a 2 outside this parentheses, so this one's being squared. And this is all over, and what's the only number on bottom? 36. Since there's only one number on bottom, you can put parentheses around it or not. So if you just put this whole thing in the calculator, this is 54 times 24, but this 24 is being squared, so make sure you put the square in there, all right? And then all over 36. So a great big old controlled divide at the beginning, 54 times 24, and square the 24, and then put the 36 in the bottom and hit enter. It's going to tell you the answer is, drum roll, hopefully you've already done it, B, or it's 864, so it's either B or C. So it's not this one, not that one. Now, I have x to the 5th and x to the 3rd. So I could just do the x's and get the answer, or I could just do the y's and get the answer. I'm kind of partial to x's, but you could do whichever one you want. So if I'm going to rewrite this over here, I'm going to do it down below. I've got x to the 5th in the first piece, that's the only x, times x to the 4th, and this one is in parentheses, And I'm keeping those parentheses because outside the parentheses is a 2. So I need to do this power thing before I do the multiplication. And this is all over what's on the bottom, x to the 8th. And there's no exponent outside the parentheses, so it's just an x to the 8th. Okay, so here we go. Do the parentheses first, which is your power rule. 2 times 4 is 8. So now I have x to the 5th times x to the 8th on top, all over x to the 8th. Now, if you happen to notice that x to the 8 and x to the 8 are going to cancel out and you're left with x to the 5th, fantastic. If not, go ahead and finish it off. Multiply on top and you get x to the 13. So that gives me x to the 13 on top over x to the 8th. 8, now this is where we subtract. 13 minus 8 is 5, and the leftovers are going to be on top because that's where the leftovers were because we had more on top. So x to the 5th is what's on top. What answer has x to the 5th? C. This one does not, so it is C. You don't need to do the y's. Okay, write this in radical form. So right now I have it in rational form because there's my fractional exponent. I want to write it in radical form, so there's going to be these radical symbols. Radical forms means you have one of these symbols in it. Where is that on the reference sheet? Rational exponent. Here it is as a fraction, and I'm changing it to a radical. Remember, bottom's out. The bottom number goes outside the radical. The base goes inside the radical. Okay, so back over here to my picture. The 7/3 is only with the m. There are no parentheses around the negative 8m. The 7/3 only goes with the m, so this is the only part that makes the radical. The negative 8 is sitting out front of the radical. So this is going to be negative 8 with the radical after it. So, which one should I get rid of? Get rid of A and C. The negative 8 is not inside. That 7/3 only goes with the m. So those are not there. This is sitting out front. So the m goes inside. It's the base. Bottom's out, so the 3 goes in the crook. Which answer has the 3 in the crook? It is D, and of course the 7 is going to go right there. So there's my answer D. Bottom's out. 5. Now remember the trick on this one. You don't have to do it the long version because it's multiple choice. All I'm going to do is put this in my calculator, square root of 48, and to get the square root symbol, you do Control X squared key. So there's a little key on the calculator that looks like this. You have to hit the Control key first and then hit this, and it gives you a square root symbol with a little box here for you to put the number in. You're going to put 48 inside and hit enter. So if you do that and then round the answer, square root of 48 is about 6.92. And the number keeps going, but we're just rounding it. Okay? You put each one of these in. This is 8, square root 6, and then put that in the calculator. So it's a big 8, then the square root symbol, and then put a 6 inside and hit enter. And you do that for each one of these and write down what the answer is. You check all 4 and see if one of these is the same as 6.92. And there's one of them that is, this one is 6.92. Now remember I told y'all be sure to check all 4 answers because you might have 2 answers that are 6.92, and I don't remember if this one had or not. But if you had 2 answers that said both 6.92, you pick out the one that is most simplified. So look inside the radical. Which one has the smallest number inside the radical? This one. So if you had 2 answers that were the same number that you're looking for, pick the one with the smallest thing inside the radical that is most simplified. Okay. Number 6, same thing again. Go put this in the calculator, see what you're looking for, and then put each answer choice in, check them all, and see if there's only one that matches that number. So pause and go do that. Okay, hopefully you've done that, and this one was 14.69. You went and put all 4 answers in. You're looking for one that was also 14.69, and the answer was A. These are the gimme questions on the STAR test. You do not want to miss these, so know how to use your calculator. Know how to put these square root symbols in, and ask if you don't or you can't get the answer. Which expression is equivalent to this lovely thing here? So again, we're just simplifying. And I know it says extra stuff like for all positive values of A and B. Yeah. I just want to simplify this, right? Okay, so notice there should be no parentheses left in the final answer. But how do we get rid of parentheses? That's my power thing. Here's the parentheses. There's the 2 exponents, one outside the parentheses and one inside. And what do we do with them? That means multiplication. So multiply the outside one times the inside one. So back to my problem here. That's 1/3 times 12. 1/3 times 6. 1/3 times, there's a 1 here. So we're not multiplying it times the bases, we're multiplying it times the exponents. 1/3 times 12. 1/3 times 6. 1/3 times 1. So the bases are still the bases. I've got an A and I got a B. So if I do 1/3 times 12 in the calculator, it's going to tell me 4. If I do 1/3 times 6, the calculator is going to tell me 2. 1/3 times 1, the calculator is going to tell me it's still 1/3. All right, so look at the answers. I need an a squared b4. A squared b4, nope. A squared b4, nope. A squared b4. So I've got two answers that match that part, but the first part is either a 5 or a 25. Well, mine is neither. It's 125 to the third power. So I need to put this in the calculator in the add subtract screen and see what number it's equal to. So that's 125, and then I hit the little rooftop key, which is right underneath the equal sign. It's going to pop me up with the little box for the exponent, right? And then I'm going to do control divide, so I have a split box, and I can put the 1 on top and the 3 on bottom. So 125, rooftop key, then control divide to get your fractions, and then put 1 over 3 and hit enter. So that's 125 raised to the 1/3 power. And it's going to tell you that the number is 5. So which answer has the 5? It is D. So know how to use your calculator and the test becomes really easy. And you need to know your exponent rules, which are on this reference sheet. You just got to look at the reference sheet as you do them. All right, we want to say this expression, parentheses x5, parentheses x to the negative 12, is equivalent to. That means it is equal to. Now, what operation is happening between the parentheses? It is a multiplication problem. There are no exponents on the outside, so there's no power rules going on. It's just multiplying. So this is x to the 5th times x to the negative 12, just because I don't want to look at the parentheses. Equals is equivalent to x to the n. So this is equal to x to the n. The question is, what is the value of n? Where is n in this? N is right here. I just want to know what this exponent number is. Well, if the bases are the same, here's the base on the end, what do you do with the exponents? You add them. So I just want to know when I add them what this number is. So 5 plus negative 12, if you put it in the calculator, it's going to tell you negative 7. Bad guys and good guys. 5 good guys kill 5 of my bad guys. I'm left with 7 bad guys. So this is equal to x to the negative 7. So I'm going to write it over here, x to the negative 7, which means my n is a negative 7. So you just put negative in here and you put the 7 in there. I know we would not leave it as a negative exponent, but they didn't ask me to change it to a positive. They just said, when you do this, what is that number going to equal? All right? Okay, so second page of our review, if I can get the page apart. There we go. Flip it over and put that back over here. Okay, so one of the algebraic expressions below is equivalent to this one. So which one is it? They just want to know if you simplify this. Now, there are no coefficients for me to do anything with, and there's no coefficients in the answer. They're all just 1, so that's not going to do me any good. Now, if we simplify this, should I have any parentheses when I simplify? Oh, they just said which one's equivalent. So when they do say equivalent, then we could have some parentheses in it because they didn't say it was simplified. But however, if I were to go do this, I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and simplify it down. Let's just check it. Here's parentheses with an exponent outside and then a multiplication problem. You're still going to do parentheses, PEMDAS first, the parentheses first before I do the multiplication. So power rule, parentheses, here's my power rule, parentheses, multiply the outside exponent times the inside one. That's what that's telling you to do, multiply. So back over here, I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 halves. In the calculator, let it do the work. 2 times 3 halves, it's going to tell you 3. So this is u to the 3rd power. Just multiplying 2 times 3 halves in the calculator, it's going to tell you it's 3. Times v squared, right? Now, are these the same bases? No, so I can't multiply them together. It's just u3v squared. So what answer says u3v squared? It is D. Okay, so don't be trying to add these two together because they're not the same variable. They have to have the same bases in order to do that. All right, this one. They just want us to simplify this. So do we like negative exponents? No, I would not leave it as a negative exponent. So right now it is in the top part of the fraction. Where do I need to move it? To the bottom. But that negative 5 only goes with the x. The 5 has its own little exponent, and it's quite happy where it is with its positive 1 exponent. So the x goes to the bottom. So what answer has 5 on top and x to the 5 on bottom? Yes, it is C. All right, there is my answer. Number 11. Again, pause this at any point, do the problems, and then come check your answers. One of the algebraic expressions below is equivalent to this thing after it is simplified. So I do want it simplified, so I shouldn't have any parentheses in the answer, and there's none that I can mark off for that reason. Now, again, I would just do, since it's multiple choice, the coefficients only. So on top, all I have is a 3, and on bottom, I have a 6. So if I just put 3 over 6 in the calculator and see what it reduces it down to, it says it's 1/2. This is 2 over 1, not 1 over 2, so get rid of it. This is 1 over 2, 1 over 2, and 1 over 2. So I got rid of one answer, and I still have 3 to choose from. So it did me a little bit of good. A's, I got a squared, a5, and a squared on bottom. So the A's are all different on all 3. The B's are all different on all 3. The B3 and B3. So I wouldn't do B's because I wouldn't know which of the answer choices it was. So I'm not going to do B's if I have a choice. And we could do C's, except C's are all just a single C on top, so that's not going to do me any good. But A is the one I want to do to know the answer. So I'm just going to rewrite it with A's only. I've got A3 on top. There's my A3, and I'm going to ignore all the rest of it. On bottom, the only A is A to the 5. So A to the 5. I just want to simplify the A's. So this is division, so this is a subtraction problem. Remember, if it's a division problem, you're going to subtract the exponents. So big exponent minus the small one. So 5 minus 3 is 2. Are the leftover A squareds going to be on top or bottom? They will be on bottom because there were more of the A's on bottom to start with. So this is A squared on bottom. So since there's nothing left on top, what I put up there? There's a 1. So I need the A squareds on bottom. Does one of these answers have A squareds on bottom? Yes, D does. So I don't need to worry with doing the B's and the C's because I already know there's going to be that one. 12. Which expression is equivalent to this lovely thing? Again, big, messy problem with lots of stuff. I would probably just do the coefficients only. This one is 18, this one is 18, this one is 11 halves, and 11 halves. So I'll get rid of at least 2 answers by doing that. Now, there's no parentheses, so I don't have to worry about that. No parentheses on bottom. It's just a 22 over 4. So if you just put in 22 over 4 in the calculator and let it reduce it down, go do that. I'll pause and see what you get. Hopefully you paused and you came back and it is 11 over 2. So that means it is not C and it is not D. It's one of these 11 over 2s. Now, A's are different in these two, A to 5, A3, C5, C9, so they're different, B and B11. So I could use any one letter and get the answer. So I'm going to look to see which up here looks easier. The A's have some negatives, the C's have some negatives, the C's have some negatives. I'm thinking the B's look the easiest. So I've got a B5 on top, so I'm just going to write it with just the B's. I've got a B to the 5th power on top, and that's the only thing on top that's a B. On the bottom, the only B is B to the 6th. So this is B to the 6th. So this is simply a division problem. And when it's a division problem, what do you do with your exponents? You subtract them. So big number minus the small number. So 6 minus 5 is 1. Is the leftover B on top or bottom? It is on bottom because there were 6 on bottom, and that's more than 5. So the leftover goes where there were more to start with. So I need a B on bottom in my answer. So let's go look at my choices over here. This is B to the 6th. Oh, that's what we started with. Here's my 2 answers. There's a B on bottom, and this one does not have a B on bottom. So which one is it? A. All right. Almost done. 13. A rectangular sheet of glass has a length of 3m squared n p to the negative 2 feet and a width of 5m n negative 3p feet. Which of the following is a representation of the area? I want the area. How do you find area of a rectangle? That is length times width. So I am multiplying these two things together. So since I've got multiple choice answers, let's just multiply it piece by piece. The big coefficient numbers 5 and 3, you just multiply them as normal. So 5 times 3 is 15. That means it might be A, it might be B, but it is not C and it is not D. So I got rid of 2 answers. I like that. Now, I've got m's that are being multiplied together. And, ooh, I see that the m's are both positive. This one here has a little bitty 1 sitting there, so I'm going to put a little 1 there. So that's a single m, and I have m squared over here. So m squared times m to the 1st power. You add your exponents. 2 plus 1 is m to the 3rd. Which one of these has m to the 3rd in it? Yes, it is B. So I don't even have to worry about all those silly negative exponents and other things up there. So look for the easy way. Now, remember these lovely things. You use the u's and v's. Don't worry about the u's and v's. Just do it with the square root of 96. So just focus on square root of 96 in the calculator. So if I just put square root of 96 in the calculator, see what the number is that I'm looking for. And if you put square root of 96 in the calculator, it's going to tell you it's about, did I put this one in the calculator? I don't think I did. Let me grab a calculator real quick and stick that one in. Square root of 96 and see what that is going to give me. Where is my calculator? Sorry, I thought I had that one in, but I did this one by hand the other way. So I'm grabbing my calculator. I'm putting in 96 and hitting square root. So 96 and square root. It is 9.79. So this is approximately 9.79. Okay, so I'm looking for an answer that has 9.79. Ignore in the answers the u's and the v's. This is 5 square root of 6. If I put in 5 times the square root of 6, check to see what it gives you. And then put in 6 square root of 6. Ignore the u's and the v's. This is just 6 square root of 6. I want to see which one has the right number part. 5 square root of 6. This one over here is 2 times the square root of 2. I'm ignoring the v's and the u's. I'm just doing the number part. This is 4 times the square root of 6. I'm putting these in the calculator and seeing if any of these are equal to 9.79. So just check the number part and ignore the u's and the v's. If you're lucky, only one of them will have the right answer. And by golly, when you do this one, 4 is, or D is 9.79. So which one is it? It is D. All right, there we go with that. This one, same thing, 27xy squared. Now, if you're wondering about why the other parts are, u to the fourth, I want the square root. Well, u squared times u squared is u to the fourth, so I pull out a u squared, and there's my u squared. V squared is equal to v times v, so the square root of v times v is just a single v, and I pull it out. All right, this one, 27xy squared. Again, ignore the x's and the y's and just put square root of 27 in the calculator. So, whoops, so I said, do that again, square root of 27. So go put square root of 27 in the calculator. It won't be exact, it will be approximately. So go put that in the calculator, see what you get. Hopefully you did that and you got 5.19 something, blah, blah, blah. So 5.19. And it keeps going, but I rounded to 5.19. So again, you put 3 square root of 3 in the calculator, ignore the x and the y. Put 7 square root of 2 in the calculator, or ignore the x's and the y's. 6 square root of 3, ignore the x's and the y's, and just put that in the calculator. So that means you're literally putting in for the 6, let me write this and then come back. 3 square root of 3 and 7 square root of 2. Okay, so when you're putting these in the calculator, 3 square root of 3, you're just putting that in the calculator. 7 square root of 2, you're putting 7 square root of 2 in the calculator. 6 square root of 3, you're putting that in the calculator. 14 is just a 14. So unless 27 is a perfect square, I don't think you're going to get the 14. But anyway, it's not that one. So if you put each of these ones in the calculator, the one that matches is A. So A was also 5.19. So we're just matching up the number parts and not worrying about the x's and the y's and those sorts of things right now. Okay, we are matching the equation to the table. So one of these equations will match that table. So you can use your Inspire calculator. They're in y equals format. Go to the graph icon. The calculator will already say f of x equals, so the y equals is already in it. You're just going to type in 3x minus 4 and put it in the calculator and then go look at the table. How do you get to table? Control T. Look at the table. When x is negative 2 is y negative 2. When x is negative 1 is the y 1. When x is 0 is the y 4. If it is, then that's your winner. If not, cross it off and go put another one in and go look at the table. Now, if you happen to notice 0, 4 is in this table, that means the 4 is my y-intercept because intercepts have 0 in them. And since the number's in the y position, it is the y-intercept. So look at the equations. Can you see the y-intercept in the equations? Yes, these two equations have the right y-intercept. So if you notice that, you didn't have to put A or B in the calculator. You could just do C and D in the calculator and again check the table. And which one matches it? Well, C matched it. Last one on here. What is the equation of a line that has a slope of negative 2 and goes through the point 32? Well, first of all, the slope is negative 2. And all these equations in y equals format? Yes. Where is the slope in the equation? It's the number in front of the x. Is there any of these equations that has a negative 2 in front of the x? Yes, it is D, so that's the only one that it can be. And there we go. We'll have another review day tomorrow. Bye, everybody.